Please join me with a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a really long agenda, so I'll try to move things along as quickly as I can, but I am not going to give a short shrift to the dedication tonight for the meeting, which we are dedicating to Corey Clanahan and to Margaret Fallon. Corey, you've stayed with us too short a time as far as I'm concerned. I hope that once your kids get older and your business, you've become a tycoon in the refillery business, that you'll run for office again. I want to say I became aware of you during the whole logging expedition, and you were so articulate and passionate without ever raising your voice or losing your cool. You just were able to speak your mind about what you cared about. And I think you've been a wonderful addition to the board. You have the best sense of humor on the board. And I just hope we see you back.
Well, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And it's truly been a great learning experience. It's awesome to see everyone come out so regularly and be involved. And despite sometimes the privilege of the floor can be heated, it's something that I love about the meetings. I love that we have that communication within the community, and it's been an honor and a privilege to be on the board, so I thank you.
And Margaret. Margaret. I can't envision life without you sitting next to me. You are grace under pressure. You're definitely the smartest person in the room. You're so articulate, and you're so knowledgeable, and you're so quietly passionate, except the very few times I've seen you quite actively passionate. But your service to this community has just been incredibly invaluable. I would not have wanted to go through these 4 years without your counsel and your support and your wisdom. And we're going to miss you terribly. And thank you for your service.
I can't match Corey, but I just want to say thank you to all the people who volunteer on the boards for the town, all the people who, from Jim and the Highway Department, Lauren and the RAC, Rita, Mary, and Doreen, and everyone here, and Jane, who hold down the fort here at Town Hall, Wendy, the 6 board members that I've served with. As Corey said, it's really been an honor, so thank you.
Rita, I got through that without crying.
Good girl.
Yeah. Roll call.
Wendy Burton? Yes. Margaret Fallon? Yes. Nathan Virtue?
Here for the first half.
Corey Clanahan?
Here.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda. There will be, because Nathan has to leave, we'll be moving some items around, but the items themselves aren't changing. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town board liaison reports. Corey, do you have one?
I do, and I'm relatively proud of my report this time, so I finally sort of gotten in the swing of it here. So there was a public hearing scheduled for January 31st for Karen Ballone's comfort care home that she would like to open. You may remember I mentioned it a couple meetings ago. She's going to start off with 1 bed. The special use permit was granted, but the public hearing and anyone to share their opinions or questions on that will be on January 31st. There was an update on the subdivision, Ernie Martin, for the Cook Homestead. The HOA agreement is being drawn up between the 4 families that are going to be taking care of the road. And then they discussed some different details of waivers that they may need granted. None were granted that night, but at the next planning board meeting, they are expecting a timeline of expected completion with different things to get to the point of actually granting waivers, need they be there. There was also a brief thing about John Hughes transferring 1 acre from his larger lot to his smaller lot, their adjoining acres, and the public hearing for that was scheduled on the 27th of this month.
Thank you, Kurt. Nathan?
The Recreation Committee didn't meet for December, they're going to be in January, so no update.
The CAC November meeting was in this room. It was a full house. There was a ton of people who came out and who volunteered for the natural resource inventory. They're looking for volunteers, anyone who's interested in donating photography of nature that has been taken here in Stanfordville to people who would volunteer basically as readers. And the people that they're looking for, you don't have to have a scientific background. In fact, it's helpful not to have a scientific background because they're looking for people to make sure that the final document is accessible to a layperson. So anyone who is interested can email the CAC or follow the CAC on Instagram for more info.
Thank you. We're making budget line adjustments at this meeting, but basically we're sound financially. Our revenues on many lines have come in over budget due to several factors. The sales tax revenue from the county saw an enormous surge in the 3rd quarter. Disposal tickets are over projection by $23,000, with the caveat that collection costs have also risen. That being said, we're taking in more revenue than we're paying out for the transfer station. Our biggest underachiever is the New York State mortgage tax, which is woefully under budget, and it's not going to get any better. But we will be able to cover that shortfall with overages and other revenue lines. Some additional information concerning the county that impacts us. That's over here. Many of you may already know that sales tax increased the sales tax by 0.25%, bringing our sales tax in Dutchess County to 8.375, which is 0.3% more than what Ulster residents pay at the register. The proposed sales tax hike will cost residents about $10 million in 2024 and perhaps more in 2025. They're also in the legislature effective January 1st. The county executive will get an 18% increase in salary, bringing it to $185,000. The county clerk will earn $150,000, which is a 26% increase. The chair of the legislature will jump 56% to $54,500. Legislative leaders will earn an 81% increase to $45,500. Assistant leaders will earn a 76% increase to $36,500, and legislators will earn $27,500, which is a 68% increase. And then it says committee chairs will receive an additional $3,000 stipend. There are no stipends provided now. Later tonight, we'll hear a report from Carl Merritt, who I've been working with to test the efficacy of speed slowing measures with additional support from the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office and the New York State Troopers. Carl has been much more successful than my office was when we contacted these agencies. To clear up any misconceptions, my office did contact both agencies, but Jane was the contacting person, not me. The board received 2 payroll verification sheets as well as my supervisor's report and bank reconciliation, and I'm sad to say I'm still 1 penny off on the payroll account. My ZBA liaison report, they met last night and set 2 public hearings for next month. One for property owned by Charles Blue, 136 Dissing Road, asking for a 10-foot side variance for a detached garage and placement for the garage in front of his home, though he does meet the 100-foot setback from the road. The other is for a home owned by Josh Lachter at 1068 North Anson for 2 additions to the house, one needing a 5-foot variance and the other an 11-foot front variance. Workshop videos from the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee are now online under our other video link on the home page. The workshop minutes are being posted by Rita Mary. For those who didn't understand the dots and the X's on the summary pages of the comp plan, dots have always marked where the priorities were, either first or second tier, and the X's showed where we changed the status. And I think that's the end of my report. So, I will now open the floor for privilege of the floor. And I think what I will do is, we'll see how many people want to speak, but I may end up cutting it a little bit short and opening it up again. But we do need to get to one item on the agenda before Nathan has to leave. So if you want to speak during privilege of the floor, please just give your name and address to Rita Mary. Greg.
Hello, my name is Greg Starzik, 83 Hicks Lane. I'm a member of the Stanford Republican Committee. First, I'd like to congratulate all the people that won in the November election. Congratulations to you all for, what, 3rd time? During the privilege of the floor at the November 2023 Town Board meeting, it was suggested that any vacant Town Board seat be offered to one or both of the other balloted candidates from the November 2023 election. Those candidates, specifically Joe Koklo and Adrian Zetterberg, by virtue of being on the ballot and a close election result, have been vetted by the community at town events, meet the candidates, and have made it known publicly that they are willing to serve. We've attached signatures, and we would respectfully request this be considered for the former seat of Ann Arendt, or if Ann Arendt's seat becomes available to the town.
Thank you. Oh, why don't you give that to Rita Mary?
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Henry, did you want to speak?
Sure. Henry Boringer, 38 Thompson Lane. I just want to point out or mention again that I feel that the process of the comprehensive plan is somewhat flawed because there have been no complete minutes there are not complete minutes for the entire, for all of the workshop meetings, and that the minutes only pertain to, I think it was after July or August, when I suggested you start taking minutes. So, you know, you're going to pass this. That's a given, all right? But what you should do is include in your conversation or your deliberation here is how you're going to make sure that you catch up here. How are you going to make sure that the right guidance that minutes would have provided of workshop meetings for whatever zoning thing is going to come out is available? Or how are you going to give them that direction? And so I think you should include that in your deliberations this evening. And so thank you very much, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, Henry. Anyone else? Yes?
I have a letter for you. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Kathy Zire, 158 Shelley Hill Road. I am the chairman of the Stanford Zoning Board of Appeals, but tonight I am not speaking on behalf of the board. I'm expanding my comments regarding the county review of the revised comprehensive plan, specifically the expansion of the Rural Center, which I brought up at the meeting last week. I didn't have enough time to continue. Currently, for information, any property use change proposed in the town via the Zoning Board of Appeals or the Planning Board that is located on a county road must be sent to Dutchess County for a review prior to the change. The ZBA nor the Planning Board can determine the level of significance. This is a county decision. The proposed rural center changes now have been greatly revised to include property located on 5 county roads: Bull's Head Road, Millis Lane, Huns Lake Road, Bangor-Amenia Road, and Cold Spring Road. This revision now will change the property uses on many properties, both creating new uses and prohibiting other uses. The decision of the significance of this is the role of the county, not myself, not the town board, and not the town attorney. I question the hesitancy to present this change to the county for review. With such an important document, I feel this review is needed. I'd like to put this letter into the record.
Anyone else? Yes, Ben.
Ben Rothgen, 158 Charwell Drive. A couple months ago, I had to come to the town hall for something, and I saw all these people with kids in the parking lot. And I thought to myself, where are all these kids doing in the middle of the day? It was like late morning, I would say. And they came in, and then I realized that there was a nursery school in the town hall. And I didn't know, I mean, probably because I wasn't here, that that was the case. And I had talked to a few different people about it, and I looked in the town code book, and I was sort of astonished to see that nursery schools are actually a prohibited use in town, as they are not in the schedule of use table. So I'm kind of questioning why the town entered into a lease agreement with a nursery school for something that is a prohibited use in town. Because to the best of my knowledge, the town is not exempt from zoning code. Thank you.
Bob, do you want to speak to that? The licensing agreement.
Yes, first of all, it's not a lease, it's a license agreement, and it's a very temporary situation because the nursery school lost its prior location. So it's really just to this was an accommodation made by the town board to allow this very important community use to remain in the town temporarily while they search for a new location.
And this will, this licensing agreement has been renewed and will end in June, and nursery school will either be moving elsewhere or they'll be folding their doors for the first time in 52 years. So, with that being said, are there any more? No. Okay, so I'd like to close the privilege of the floor, and I'd like to open the public hearing on proposed local law number 6 of 2023, which was authorizing the town board to award. We can hear you up here, Henry. Authorizing the town board to award public contracts based on best value. We introduced this law at the last meeting. So now is the public hearing, if anyone has anything to say about adding this to our purchasing policy so that in certain cases we can award contracts based on best value. Oh, you want to second my opening the public?
Yeah, second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
I had a feeling this was not going to be a hot issue. Okay, with no public comments, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, I would like to move to numbers 13 and 14, which do have to do with the comprehensive plan. We will now go through the procedure to formally adopt the December 2023 comprehensive plan. First, I'll make 2 motions in response to comments made at the 3rd public hearing that we held on December 7th. This is a legal action, and by doing so continues our good faith efforts to respond to concerns that were actually voiced at those meetings. The first motion I make is regards to page 13, objective number 1. We're adding the language that ensures farms will not be adversely impacted. And this came from a long conversation I had following up on comments that Mark Burdick had made. So it's just an additional guarantee that we're looking to make sure that family farms are protected. On page...
Excuse me, can you just say what the heading is of that?
Objective number 1.1.
Okay, thank you.
And then on page 67...
Is that all one motion?
No, yes.
You're
can
putting-
you-
okay, sorry.
Would you...
That's fine. I just didn't know if you were doing each one as a motion.
Well, I could. On page 67, we're focusing new residential growth within the Stanford hamlet and, where appropriate, within the Bengal hamlet, as well as along Route 82 and other road frontage property. So what we've removed is throughout all of the hamlets, because Mark made a good point that some of the hamlets, well, first of all, Route 82 didn't run through some of the hamlets, but besides that, some of them, it would not be convenient or possible to add homes on road frontage properties. So all we've done is eliminate throughout all of the hamlets. And then on page 106, we are changing the language to match all the other language that we've put in the document. This has to do with scenic viewshed map. And instead of saying create a scenic viewshed map to identify important viewsheds, including those identified in the 1980 master plan, it says consider creating a scenic viewshed map. So that's the first motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the second motion I would like to be comes out of comments made by Steve Horowitz. Actually, he's made them several times, and they have to do, Jesus, what page is this on? This have to do with the language to change in the plan to include the following language about the RC district, or the proposed extension of the RC district. Extend the current, and this first part was read at the last meeting. Extend the current rural center RC zone in the following manner: east and west along New York Route 82 from Gristmill Lane to Cold Spring Road, north and south of Route 19 from New York Route 82 to Gristmill Lane, east and west along Millis Lane from Huns Lake Road to New York Route 82, north and south along Huns Lake Road for 0.6 miles from the intersection of New York Route 82, and the eastern portion of Dual Road from Bangor-Amenia Road to the existing western edge of the RC zone, allowing more opportunities for businesses, including those that have large space requirements. In addition to that, this paragraph: a separate overlay district should be considered where present uses in the AR zone versus the proposed RC zone expansion conflict, to make sure agricultural uses are continued to be allowed and to make sure proposed commercial uses are in keeping with the neighborhood. Do I have a second?
Can I second it in bold?
You can second it in bold. Is there any, are there any questions or conversation?
Just to comment that, Steve, I remember us having that conversation, and like, I am emphatically in support of having that language, so.
May I ask one question about, is there a map it shows, this is hard to understand it in terms of all the words.
There is a map.
It's crudely drawn.
It's very crudely drawn. And when this goes off, I can now send this off to RK, you say it.
I don't remember, because it's...
AKRF.
AKRF, ARC.
Yeah.
The company that, that will eventually bind this and make us beautiful copies, these cost a lot to do, so we chose not to send a final draft off until we could in fact produce these that will be available for use. So I'm hoping they will be able to craft a map that is better. I find the language confusing myself, so
Yeah, and
that's my hope.
The language initially was written very broadly, which was, the broadness of it made it highly interpretable. And that was where a lot of discussion and confusion led, which is why the language, which is contrasting a significant part of the rest of the plan, is very explicit. Right. To try and accommodate that. But even in the nature of drawing a map is also somewhat, I don't want it to lead into feeling like that's going to be it. That's just what the plan is suggesting, but it doesn't need to be that. So that's the other thing about it. Once it's on paper, it's hard to walk back.
It helps to understand it.
Yes, I agree.
Yes. That's fine.
I'm a visual person.
Yes.
So I believe the next order of business, oh, I'm sorry, go on.
That was the discussion we need to, did you get the vote
Oh.
on the motion?
No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, you said aye in bold, or you seconded?
I second it in bold.
I wrote that down.
Okay, now there's resolution 12. This is all part of adopting the comprehensive plan. So this is resolution 12G, intent to declare lead agency, and no, we're going to do this.
No, I think, Wendy, excuse me, we need to go first through
The
the
secret?
EAF form.
That's this
And
one.
then that resolution gets presented. Yes. Okay. So, and actually, do other board members need copies of
They were
these?
sent, they have electronic
Yeah.
ones.
Okay. So, part two of the,
So can I have mine
part
back
one of
if
the
you need
environmental
some?
assessment form was adopted previously by the board, and had been referred to the county planning earlier in the year. So part two is identification of impacts from of an environmental nature, identification of potential project impacts. And for the most part, this is not really applicable because the comprehensive plan doesn't change zone, it changes policy, but it doesn't change zoning yet. It is not a construction project that would actually change the use of any land or change anything on the ground. Moreover, this is sort of a continuation of an existing master plan, so it's not all that much of a change from what we had before. So, but to go through it, the board needs to go through this, and if there are any issues where anybody thinks that there are any impacts that are of significance, small or moderate or large impacts, we can note them and discuss them. But it sort of is in several large categories, and I think we can just stay at the category level unless somebody wants to talk about something specific. But so the first is impact on land. Proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of land surface of a proposed site. We check that no. Second is impact on geologic features. We check that no. It would involve a modification or destruction of unique or unusual landforms. 3 is impacts on surface water, that the action would affect one or more wetlands or surface water bodies. We suggested no. 4th is impact on groundwater, that it would if the action would result in new or additional use of groundwater or potential to contaminate the aquifer. 5 is impact on flooding, that it would cause flooding due to development of land. 6 was impacts on air, that it would include a state-regulated air emission source. And all these are I assume we think there would be no. Impact on plants and animals, that it would result in a loss of flora or fauna. 8 is impact on agricultural resources, that the action may impact agricultural resources. We checked no. 9 is impact on aesthetic resources, if the proposed action would be different from or in sharp contrast to current land use patterns. 10 is impact on historic and archaeological resources. Action might be if an action were adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. 11 is impact on open space and recreation. There are a couple more here. 12 is impact on critical environmental areas, if there's a proposed action located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area. Impacts on transportation would cause change in transportation systems. 14 is impact on energy. 15 is impact on noise, odor, or light. 16 is impact on human health. 17 is consistency with community plans. 18 is consistency with community character. So that puts us now on page 10 of this form, and and we assumed that if the board agrees, those would all be no. And so then there is a part 3, which is evaluation of the magnitude and importance of project impacts and a determination of significance. And here is where you would make a decision, next to that was a narrative, which is about a page and a half, with points that explain that basically in support of the proposition that there are no significant environmental impacts here, and that it's proper for the town to adopt a negative declaration.
So,
if you want to read, do you want that read or not?
I think I'll read just the last paragraph.
Okay.
That says, no impacts were identified via the Part 2 analysis that were moderate to large. No severe, large, or extensive potential adverse impacts were identified. There were no potential adverse impacts identified that would have a large geographic scope, be of long duration, or impact numbers of people. The analysis instead identified many positive benefits to the environment that will result from adoption of the proposed comprehensive plan. Future actions will undergo their own seeker analysis, and those impacts will be evaluated in relation to their potential impact on the ideals, values, and goals as established in this proposed comprehensive plan, so that once we start generating new ordinances or local laws, through the zoning commission, every one of those new laws will have to go through the seeker process.
Yes, they'll have to go through seeker, and they'll also have to go to county planning for 239M review.
Yep.
As Kathy noted.
Yeah, so then, so we make a motion to declare this.
So that, yes, so that now you could take up the
Resolution number
first
12.
resolution, which is the
So we don't have
negative
to make,
declaration.
we don't have to vote to adopt the EF?
I think we're doing that in this.
Oh, okay, that's what that resolution is going to be.
And I would like Margaret to have the honor of reading this.
Resolution 12G of 2023, intent to declare lead agency and determination of non-significance in accordance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act, adoption of comprehensive plan of the Town of Stanford Type 1 action. At a meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Stanford held at the Town of Stanford Town Hall on the 14th day of December 2023 at 7 p.m., Town Supervisor Wendy Burton called the meeting to order, and she, seconded by Councilperson,
Second.
moved the following resolution. Whereas the Town of Stanford Town Board has determined it is in the best interest of the town to engage in the process of revising the town comprehensive plan, and whereas the action of the revising town comprehensive plan is a type 1 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the full environmental assessment form has been completed by the town board, and now therefore be it resolved that 1, as previously determined by resolution of the town board shall act as the lead agency for the environmental review of the project. 2, the town board finds that the project will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment for reasons stated in Part 3 of the FEAF and the attached determination of non-significance. 3, the town supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to sign Part 3 of the FEAF, indicating therein that an environmental impact statement will not be prepared and that a negative declaration is issued. 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately. That's it.
You ready to vote?
Yes.
Wait, do we have to second it?
I did.
I have one.
That's right.
Wendy Burton.
Yes.
Ann Aaron absent. Margaret Fallon.
Yes.
Nathan Virtue.
Yes.
Corey Clanahan.
Yes.
Thank you, Margaret. And now, Nathan, I'm going to have you read the final resolution, but first, there's just
What's the
something.
number of it?
It's 12H,
Go
but
ahead.
I think its numbers might have,
This
I want to see.
This is accurate. I'll read this one.
I think so.
Okay.
So, Nathan is going to read a motion, basically to adopt the comprehensive plan, but I'd like to say this first. We dedicate this historic moment to two citizens who wholeheartedly devoted themselves to our town and to working on the comprehensive plan. Jan Weedo, who tragically passed in 2011, and Gary Lovett, who tragically passed last year. So much groundwork and care was laid by these two men, and we could not have gotten here today without them. I would also like to thank Carol Hanlon, Tom Angel, Robert Butts, Steve Godovich, Spencer Hall, Conrad Levinson, John Royal for the work that they did from 2010 to 2013. Mark Burdick, Tom Angel, Richard Bell, Tom Dewhurst, Michelle Enzio, Duffy Layton, Gary Lovett, Larry McKeough, Karen Mosier, James Sansung, and Jeff Spears for the work they did from 2013 to 2018. The Comprehensive Review Committee, the Comprehensive Review Plan Committee that was formed after I took office in 2020 and worked through 2021, mainly during COVID, so we met by Zoom. Gary Lovett, Tom Angel, Richard Bell, Conrad Levinson, Karen Mosier, James Sansung, and Jeff Spears. I had the privilege of being the liaison to that hardworking committee. Finally, the two town boards I have served with since 2020, Paul Coughlin, Margaret Fallon, Frank Pepe, Mary Weinberger, Deputy Nathan Lavertu, who's the deputy supervisor who shepherded the board through our own review process, Corey Callahan and Ann Arendt, who put shoulders to the wheel so we could complete this project, Rita Mary Bell, who had the onerous task of taking minutes, Steve Godovich joined this endeavor as well. Nina Peak was our advisor. All the Stanford residents and organizations that participated in this effort through the years and provided insightful comments and feedback throughout the process. Lastly, I want to thank Mark Burdick, who has been passionately involved in our community and in this plan, basically forever. Our work will continue now with the formation of a zoning commission, which will be tasked with evaluating our current zoning code and preparing changes for the town board to adopt. All new ordinances by law will have public hearings before a town board either passes or fails to adopt the new zoning laws. I look forward to having that work begin in January. Nathan.
I apologize for the nasally voice, and if I cough or I apologize. Start with that.
I thought this was an honor. Do you want to not do it?
No, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm just apologizing to everyone. Resolution 12H of 2023, adopting the update to the comprehensive plan of the town of Stanford. At the meeting of the town board of the town of Stanford held at the town of Stanford Town Hall on the 14th day of December 2023 at 7 p.m., Town Supervisor Wendy Burton called the meeting to order, and she, seconded by Council
Market?
Move the following resolution. Whereas the town of Stanford Town Board identified a need to review and update its existing 1980 master plan to properly plan growth and development in the town of Stanford. And whereas prior committees appointed by the town board dating back to 2010 had prepared a draft comprehensive plan, solicited public comments on the draft plan, and began consideration of how to revise the draft comprehensive plan to incorporate public comments. And whereas on July 9th, 2020, the town board assigned the tasks of reviewing the previous work and completing the revision of the draft comprehensive plan to the Town of Stanford Comprehensive Plan Review Committee, whose members were chosen by the town board. And whereas the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee began meeting on July 28, 2020, and thereafter engaged in the process of gathering and reviewing documents relevant to the revision of the draft comprehensive plan. And whereas the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee engaged AKRF Inc. as the consultant to provide the necessary planning and consulting advice and assistance in revising and updating the comprehensive plan. And whereas the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee prepared a revised draft comprehensive plan after soliciting input from the community by conducting several public meetings, receiving informal comments from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, and conducting a public hearing on June 30th, 2021, pursuant to the requirements of the New York State Town Law 27-A. And whereas the revised draft comprehensive plan was made available to the public on the Town of Stanford website, at the town library, and the town clerk's office. And whereas by resolution adopted at its meeting on September 30th, 2021, the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee referred the draft comprehensive plan to the town board and recommended its adoption as the Town of Stanford Comprehensive Plan. Whereas by resolution adopted at its regular meeting on October 13th, 2021, the town board determined the action of adopting the comprehensive plan is a type 1 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review, SEQR, declared itself lead agency under SEQR, accepted Part 1 of the full environmental assessment form, the EAF, which is what we just read, and authorized the referral of the draft comprehensive plan, along with Part 1 of the EAF, to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, pursuant to New York General Municipal Law, Section 23-N. And whereas a public hearing on the draft comprehensive plan was duly scheduled and was held before the town board on January 10th, 2022, and whereas following such public hearing, the town board conducted numerous workshops and meetings to discuss and revise the draft comprehensive plan in response to comments made by the public, and whereas the proposed comprehensive plan, together with the full EAF Part 1, was duly forwarded to the Dutchess County Department of Planning pursuant to the General Municipal Law, Section 23M, and whereas on July 21st, 2023, the department, the DCDPD, delivered its response to such Section 23M referral of local concerns and comments, many of which comments were incorporated into the comprehensive plan. And whereas the town board held additional public hearings on revisions of the comprehensive plan on July 31st, 2023, and December 7th, 2023. And whereas the adoption of the comprehensive plan will not require permits and approvals from any local, regional, or state agencies other than the town board, and therefore a coordinated seeker review with any other agencies was not required. And whereas the town board has thoroughly reviewed and considered the final revision of the comprehensive plan and all the appendices attached thereto, a copy of which is annexed hereto. And whereas the town board conducted its seeker review by ratifying and confirming Part 1 of the EAF, reviewing and completing Part 2, and adopting Part 3 of the EAF, which included a narrative articulating the reasons supporting the town board's seeker determination. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town of Stanford of the town board of the town of Stanford, Dutchess County, New York, as follows. 1. That the adoption of the comprehensive plan will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore that an environmental impact statement need not be prepared, and a negative declaration therefore be issued as fully articulated in the EAF and by separate resolution. And number 2, that the town clerk shall publish notice of the negative declaration in the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Environmental Notice Bulletin as required by the seeker regulations. And 3, that the final version of the comprehensive plan and the appendices annexed thereto and made a part thereof, including attachments and revisions as heretofore approved by this board, a copy of which plan is annexed hereto, is hereby adopted as the comprehensive plan of the town of Stanford. 4, that the supervisor shall cause its consultants, AKRF Inc., to prepare digital and printed copies of such comprehensive plan as so adopted by this resolution, incorporating all prior amendments and revisions to such a plan as heretofore approved by this board, and deliver such copies to the town clerk. And 5, that the town clerk shall file the final copy of the adopted comprehensive plan with her office and with the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development as required by 272-A of the town law.
Ready to vote?
Yes.
Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Ann Aaron absent. Margaret Fallon?
Yes.
Nathan LaVirtue?
Yes.
Corey Clanahan?
Yes.
Motion is adopted. Thank you. It's been a long fall. I would like to shift things around again and ask Carl Merritt. My poor friend Carl is falling asleep in the front row. So Carl, you can go after this if you want. You're welcome.
Carl Merritt, or as I'd like to be called from now on, the commissioner. But anyway, first off, I want to thank Margaret and Corey for their service to the town while they were here. Appreciate you guys putting yourself out there and doing it. And Nathan, I know you have to leave, but thank you for letting us put the speed trailer on your property for a while. And coming out.
It wasn't
and
on my
helping.
property.
Well, you came out and you helped us. I originally thought it was on his property, and it wasn't. But he showed up to help me out.
If the dentist on time, I will happily chat with you.
All right. So I've got some results from the speed trailers that were put out by the sheriff's office. I don't have anything from the town speed trailers, but just some things I wanted to note is that if you drive around town, you'll notice that there was an increase in presence of law enforcement, both by the state police and the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office, which presence alone is a natural deterrent. That you don't necessarily have to write tickets all the time to get people to stop speeding. Just the presence of a police car usually gets people to slow down if they're speeding. I know that, Wendy, you have concerns with the sustainability of this. We've discussed this. And with the upcoming winter months, there'll be less traffic on the roads due to the weather. A lot of the weekenders won't be coming around. A lot of the kids will be away at school, so there won't be as many people using the roadways. And also with the bad weather, that doesn't allow us to keep the speed trailers out in case there's snowstorms, et cetera. We don't want to damage those. I know there's been concerns about trucks that people believe are going a lot faster. And again, Wendy and I have discussed this. When you go to school for what I did in law enforcement, I became a New York State certified speed expert. one of the things you realize is that when you see a truck coming down the highway or any place, it always appears to be going a minimum of 10 miles per hour faster than it actually is. So if it's a 40 mile per hour speed zone, when you see a dump truck or an 18-wheeler coming through, you're going to assume it's going a lot faster, when in reality it isn't. And it could be proven just by sitting with someone with a radar gun for a little while, or sitting by the speed trailers that are out. I went over that, okay. I just wanted to also note the positive effects of the speed trailer that were purchased, and I thought that was a great purchase by the town, and credit to Jim Myers and his crew for getting them moved around when need be and programmed. We do have to get the speeds right, because when you're driving up on them and it's supposed to be 40 and it says 35, everyone's been yelling at me to get those corrected, but it's kind of out of my control to get that done with the town ones. But if you notice, if you're driving into town or whatever direction, north or south, and you see those speed trailers and you see the cars in front of you, what's the first thing you see? Brake lights, right? So the speed trailers, I think, are just as effective or more effective than, you know, having a police force here that, like I said, if there were one, I would be the commissioner. But other than that, let me see. Oh, and then I know a couple of town residents have said something about when they drive through town, they have, you know, they'll slow down and this and that. It's never a good idea to take the law into your own hands. You shouldn't, if it's a 40 mile per hour zone, I wouldn't suggest that you slow down to 20, 25 miles per hour. And there's a couple of reasons that could lead to road rage, which could lead to violence and so on. Unfortunately, we've all seen that. And also there's a section of the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law for driving too slowly. So it's the opposite of speeding through town, and you're impeding traffic, and that's section 1181B. So I've also been in constant contact with the sheriff and with the New York State Police. They're more than willing to help out. I think you guys have noticed that if you see them through town. And then some of the places that we had it, initially was 82 in Bull's Head Road, and the speed in town is 40 at that area. So out of 24,901 cars that went through in 1 week, anybody want to guess what the speed was, the average speed? If it's a 40, you look like you know. Me? Yes. Come on.
53.
53? Who said 56?
46.
Oh, 46, okay.
45.
45, so out of almost 25,000 cars in a 4 mile per hour zone, the average speed was 33 miles per hour. So it's 7 miles per hour under. So that's why when people think that so many cars are speeding, the reality is, unless you're a speed expert, unless you're sitting there with a radar, you really don't know. You're just kind of guessing. Now, were there cars that went faster than that? Obviously, but we don't know what those cars were. It could have been any emergency services vehicle, you know, a deputy, a trooper, a fireman, an ambulance, wherever the case may be, or somebody having a personal emergency and trying to get through town. Next was Creamery Road. Out of 895 cars that went through, a daily average of about 180. The speed limit is 35. The average speed going through on Creamery Road was 27 miles per hour. So, you know, it's a significant drop. That's 8 miles per hour under the speed limit, basically. That was when we had the speed trailer going eastbound. Well, Ryan, my buddy, labeled it as eastbound, westbound. It's technically north and south, but I'll teach him the compass later. But again, for the next week that we had it there, 1,128 cars went through, posted speed limit of 35, average speed limit of 29.52 miles per hour. Market Lane, which I don't have the average in front of me. I wish I did, though. I'll just say that, oh, okay, the average speed out of 1,000 cars that went through was 29.7 miles per hour.
Which part of Market Lane?
241. Do you live on Market Lane?
No, I don't, but I drive it.
Okay, I'm trying to remember what's, there's a sign there with like a horse, a chicken, and
Renee lives there.
who's Renee? You? Okay, so you know that area that I'm
It's a
referring to.
straightaway, yeah.
Yeah. So in that area,
It really slows people down.
So it did its job.
Tremendously.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I think the purchase was a great idea, and it's going to end up being a lot less expensive than paying a police force $40,000 a year.
Does it give you a high and a low, or just?
It does.
It does?
Yeah, it does. But if I showed it to you, the high is not, it tells me, if I really had to break it down, if you want, I'll show it to you. It tells you how many cars per hour went through, what their speed was, so on and so forth. And I actually took some of that data, and I went to the sheriff and I said, look, we have a problem on this road between these hours. Can you please put patrols out there to try to slow them down a little bit? And he said he'd be more than happy to do that. So, I mean, overall, I know speed is a concern. It'll always be a concern. I think with winter coming, it's going to be less of a concern. And I think when spring rolls around, not that we're going to take out the speed trailers now, because we're going to use them right up until we can't.
Good.
And we'll keep the communication line open with the state police and with the sheriff's office. And if anybody has any concerns, Wendy has my number. Just reach out to me if you want the speed trailers in a certain location. I'll make sure that they get there. And other than that, does anybody have any questions on anything? You first. You had your hand up first. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How often are you going to rotate them? In other words, when...
Usually on a weekly basis. We had 3 of them out here for a while, and we were trying to hit traffic going in 2 directions. Like Jack Evans asked for the corner of 82 and Bull's Head. So we put it there initially, turning on to Bull's Head. And then later on, we moved it a little further up the road to get some more data. And then the data from Gristmill was inaccurate, so that's why I didn't read that.
It seemed like it was when we talked.
It was way off.
Yeah.
So Ryan, my buddy that's in charge of the trailers, he's going to put it back there again so we can get a better read. The problem with Gristmill and some of the smaller roads is there's no safe place to put it. You know, so I know you said Rita's got property there and so on and so forth. The first place on Gristmill where we put it, Nathan pulled up and I thought it was his house. So I thought, oh, this is great. Nathan's here. He's going to tell us where to put it. And he said, you can't put it here. He said, this is so-and-so's property. And he reached out to her. He got his permission to keep it there for a week. And then it would have to be moved after that. Creamery Road, we did both, going to the school and coming back towards the rec park to try to get people in both directions there. Where else? I'm trying to remember. We had Market Lane.
You put it just past our house too on Bull's Head.
Yes, that was a secondary location, right?
Yeah.
And if anybody has any ideas on where they want it, just reach out to me and let me know. Okay, before I get to you, did I answer your question?
You answered my question about placement, yeah.
Okay. Sir?
Yes, that's your 327.
You don't have to tell me. What?
327 Jameson Hill, put it anywhere along there you want.
Okay.
I tell you, they do work. They woke me up a few times coming through town.
What time of day? Because we're at advanced age, so that could be 7 p.m.
You know, through there, sometimes they fly through there. You'll get some people they got a couple straightaways going to really go crazy. We have a lot of people walk on Jameson Hill. It's a concern. It's always going to be different.
Okay, so you're at 327?
I'm at 327.
Is there a spot, no, is that an area where we could put a speed trailer? That's why I'm asking you. I mean, we could find another location, but if that's
You're more than welcome if you could fit it. I'm right on the corner, so if you're going to fit it on me, I can put it in my driveway.
Well, we have to make sure there's a safe line of sight for people to come and go.
Right,
That's
but
the
down
issue.
the hill, there's a straight,
Okay.
straightaway. Take a look at it. I mean,
Okay.
if there's a spot there to put it, that'd be great.
Put it down by the bridge.
Does anybody have a pen I can borrow? I'll get to you in 1 second, sir.
What's that? I don't, but she's.
Okay, I'm sorry. Before you, sir.
I was just going to suggest that perhaps we put one on Hicks Lane as well, and straight away from Vancouver to Market.
Okay.
We talked about Salt Point.
Yes. Yeah, that's, we should do that one. So the only problem with that area, and I know we've put them there in the past, years ago, is there's not a lot of shoulder there. So we have to make sure that there's Patricia Lane there, I think, Patricia. You have to make sure that people can safely see to get in and out of there, so. But we'll find a spot, even if we have to take down fencing. Yes, sir.
Steve Horowitz, 6187 Route 82. So I live just north of where you have the speed sign, going into town.
Okay.
And what I have noticed is that there's a hill coming down from roughly where the Hughes car dealership property is, towards where the sign is currently placed. People drive very fast down that hill, and it happens to be on a curve.
Is that still the 55 right there? I think that's
Yeah,
still the
it's 55 until it gets
No,
to...
I think it is 55.
And I've spoken with Jim Myers. I spoke to him yesterday morning, and I know that there's an issue with that sign, and I think the problem is that it's not positioned properly. So we're going to hopefully work that out next week and get it positioned a little bit better, so that instead of seeing your speed when you're right at the trailer, the goal is to see it further back.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so it gives people the heads up. But if I was to make any suggestion, I would, if there's any more of the COVID money, I know you call it by something else, by, what is it, ARPA? Okay, if there's any more of that, buy 2 more of those trailers, because they've been so effective. If you talk to your friends in town, and I don't know if anybody else in here has had any personal experience where they see brake lights coming on as soon as they see it. And it's funny because by the Cobble Pond one, northbound on 82, it's actually a 40. Jim's secretary has it set for 35.
She's just trying to slow down traffic.
So by the time everybody it's not a knock on her, it's just...
I'm kidding.
But by the time everyone gets to that, you'll see them going 33 miles an hour. And the hope is that they're carrying that all the way through town until they get to the other end. So I think it has been very effective, and, you know...
And I'm still not giving up on, I'm still going to hammer the state until they change the speed limit going through town.
You have an uphill battle with that.
I know that.
And that might not be, the issue is, it's a state highway, and...
Carl, don't tell me what the problems are, because I'm going to
I
have
can
a
tell you
hunger
solutions.
strike up in her office until she changes the speed limit.
That might not work. It's not like there's a lot of meat over there that has to be eaten away. Anybody else with any other questions or anything, or concerns, or areas where they'd like to see the speed trailers or anything? If not, I'll just...
And people can, we can
ma'am.
keep a list.
Coming back, in other words.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I know Wendy's got a big agenda, so I don't want to take up the whole room.
Carl,
Thank you for your time.
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carl.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Carl.
It's a great partnership.
Why don't we take a pause here, because you're heading
You gotta
out?
go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
If it's
And
all right, I'm
Leandra,
gonna
you only have
excuse
to stay for
myself.
an hour, right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna.
Oh, okay, love it.
Right, thank you, and I'll see you.
Thank you. Yeah, and let me know if everything's okay.
Yeah, she'll be in there in the morning, so I'll let you know.
Just send me a text.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good night.
Okay. So now, what we should do is go back to item number 1, 12A. No, that's off, where's the resolution 12, where's the resolution to adopt local law number 6?
I have it in this
I got a copy of it.
I got it right
Is
here.
this the same?
Can I have your copy, because mine is... Okay, we're going back to Resolution A, which followed that dynamic public hearing we had on the best value law. This is Resolution 12A of 2023 to enact local law number 6, authorizing the town board to award public contracts based on best value. At a meeting of the town board of the town of Stanford held at the Stanford Town Hall on the 14th of December, 2023 at 7 p.m., Town Supervisor Wendy Burton called the meeting to order, and she, seconded by Council Member
I second.
Corey Callahan, move the following resolution to enact the following local law to be known as Local Law Number 6 of 2023, entitled, "A Local Law Authorizing the Town of Stanford Town Board to Award Certain Purchase Contracts Based on Best Value," as follows. Whereas the following local law was introduced as proposed Local Law Number 6 of 2023 at a meeting of the Town Board held on November 9th, 2023, and whereas a properly noticed public hearing was held before the town board during the meeting on December 14th, 2023 on this local law, and whereas the town board has determined proposed action qualifies as a Type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, as it involves routine or continuing agency administration and management and does not include new programs or major reordering of priorities that may affect the environment, and is therefore exempt from environmental review. And now therefore be it enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Stanford as follows. Section 1, Declaration of Intent. Oh, God, do I have to read this whole thing?
It was introduced before, and
it's in the minutes.
And it's in the minutes. I think you could. just
So it
say
was
that
as
spread on
read in the
minutes.
November, at the November 9th meeting. Yeah, the effective date, this local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the New York State Department of State. The following resolution was voted upon, which we will do now.
Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Annie Holt, absent. Margaret Fallon?
Yes.
Nathan Virtue, absent. Corey Flanagan?
Yes.
Okay, now we have the proposals for the...
Put that back, please.
I'm sorry? Oh, you mean that I can't keep it? Proposals were sent out for the demolition of Spark Park. We received 4 bids.
5.
4.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, all right.
So, Rita, shall I read just the company and the amount?
Yeah.
Okay. The company was Arnold Construction Company out of Kingston, and their total bid was for $53,370. Hudson Valley Works out of Clinton Corners, New York, their bid was $35,560. Rathjen's Landscaping, town of Clinton Corners, their bid was $24,875. And R&R Service Center LLC, their bid was $16,000. So I make a motion to accept the bid for the demolition of Spark Park to R&R Service Center LLC. Is there any discussion? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 12B, authorizing the purchase of playground equipment from DCI Burke Company LLC through Sourcewell. Jane has done a heroic job working on the contract to make sure that our ducks are all in a row for purchasing this equipment for the playground through Sourcewell. At a meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Stanford held at the Town Hall on the 14th day of December 2023 at 7 p.m., Town Supervisor Wendy Burton called the meeting to order, and she, seconded by Council Member Margaret Fallon, moved the following resolution. whereas Section 103.16 of New York General Municipal Law authorizes municipalities to purchase apparatus, materials, equipment, or supplies, or to contract for services related to the installation, maintenance of repair apparatus, materials, equipment, and supplies through a contract led by a political subdivision or district of another state, provided such contract was let to the lowest responsible bidder or on the basis of best value in a manner consistent with Section 103 of the GML, a procedure commonly known as piggybacking. And whereas Sourcewell is an agency of the state of Minnesota which awards purchasing contracts through a competitive bidding process and requires such purchasing contracts to allow other municipalities to purchase under the same terms. And whereas Sourcewell has contracted with BCI Burke Company LLC by contract dated February 15, 2021, Sourcewell contract for the purchase of playground equipment, and the terms of the contract allow other municipalities to purchase playground equipment on the same terms. And whereas Sourcewell solicited sealed bids from various manufacturers of playground equipment and awarded the contract to BCI Burke Company LLC after determining by objective standards that BCI Burke Company LLC provided the best value in a manner consistent with Section 103 of GML. Whereas the resolution duly adopted at its meeting held this December 14th, 2023, the town board authorized the awarding of purchase contracts, including contracts for service work based on best value. And whereas the playground equipment in Spark Park is in a state of disrepair and needs to be replaced, and whereas the town board has determined it is the best interest of the town to purchase new playground equipment, including but not limited to the equipment listed on Exhibit A for Spark Park from BCI Burke Company LLC pursuant to the terms of the contract between BCI Burke Company LLC and Sourcewell, and whereas the town board has determined the proposed action qualifies as a Type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, as it involves the purchase of equipment which is not land, radioactive material, pesticides, herbicides, or other hazardous materials, and is therefore exempt from environmental review pursuant to 6 NYCRR Section 617.5 C31. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the expenditure of $336,299.
446,267, spot 70.
Where are you getting that from, Jeannie?
The order was revised.
Oh, yep, I got it.
To accommodate a piece of equipment that was not listed on the original.
So what's the total now?
446,267, spot 70.
Thank you. For the purchase of playground equipment, including but not limited to the equipment listed in Exhibit A for Spark Park from BCI Burke Company pursuant to the terms of the contract. Be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to sign any and all documents necessary to complete the purchase of playground equipment for Spark Park from BCI Burke Company pursuant to the terms of the contract between BCI Burke Company LLC and Sourcewell. And just parenthetically, all of these funds have been raised. This is not taxpayer money. This is a combination of what the Rec Fundraising Commission has raised and some grant money.
A lot of
A lot of grant money, yeah.
And a lot of grant money.
Yeah, the committee and Lauren have done a phenomenal job wrangling that up.
Yes.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Vote.
Yes.
Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Ann Aaron absent. Margaret Fallon? Yes. Nathan Virtue absent. Corey Flanagan?
Yes.
Okay, item number 4. I make a motion to accept the resignation of town board member Ann Aaron.
I second that.
All in favor?
The town board will accept letters of interest for the town board vacancy in the same way that we did when Frank Pepe resigned. Please give me a letter with your interest and hopefully a resume. And I believe what we will do is interview people who have put their name forward, probably in executive session, maybe in January, and definitely, I know I'm not supposed to be looking at you. Maybe in, or you.
You can look at me, but.
Guess I'll just look at Rita Mary, because she'll be here. We'll be interviewing people, probably in executive session, so we can all be together for the interview.
Did you say January and February?
I think, well, yeah, I mean, today is already the 14th, and when is the January meeting? Actually, we
The
pushed
reorg
that
is
back to the,
second and-
but that one we moved back a week.
Yes, yes.
So we may have it, it may be by January, because that gives people a month to get us their requests. And okay. And then also, I make a motion to accept the resignation of dog control officer Rich Prentice, who has found a better job.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm none.
I know, well, you know.
It is what it is.
Rita Mary, do you want to deal with item 7, the 2024 appointment notices?
Yes, just to tell the board and everybody here that I have sent out notices for all the people that are due for new commission or board appointments for '24. Do you want me to go through them all and read the names?
No, you've contacted them.
I did. The planning board, CAC, BAR, Rec, Haunted House, Zoning Board, Emergency Management, Board of Ethics, Climate Smart Task Force, Bird Park Committee, and Historic Preservation.
Good
Okay.
job, Rita.
Thank you, Rita. The transfer station fees are on the agenda, but we're not raising them. We raised them last.
I needed to put that in minutes.
Okay. And I did speak with Gary today, and he's comfortable, as we are, leaving them as they are for another year. I make a motion to approve the revised town board meeting schedule, which Rita has posted, I believe.
All in favor?
Aye. All those dates are already entered into the events on the town board website, and there are a few times that the dates of normal meetings have changed because of holidays. And in one case, I think a birthday. But basically,
It's an important birthday.
it's an important birthday. And as well, I've started to enter the meeting dates for all of the committees, so that the events calendar should be up and running pretty soon for next year. I make a motion, oh, I know where it is, to approve the holiday schedule and part-time paid off for employees for 2024.
I second that.
Any in favor?
Aye.
Where's Rita's dog licensing? Okay, I have this as resolution 12C.
Something, yeah.
Okay. Here, Margaret.
Resolution 12C of 2023, resolution to amend the Town of Stanford dog licensing fees. Whereas the town clerk, after reviewing the town's dog licensing fees with other local municipalities, has requested an increase in such fees, and whereas the Town of Stanford Town Board strives for fees that are appropriate and consistent with the current economic environment, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Stanford has engaged in discussions, lots of discussions, and review of said fees, and finds it to be in the best interest of the Town of Stanford to make the proposed change, $6 if a dog is spayed and neutered to $10 if a dog is spayed $6 16 if a dog is not spayed and neutered, to 20 if the dog is not spayed and neutered. $3 for a replacement dog tag will stay the same. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Stanford hereby adopts the proposed amendment to the town of Stanford dog licensing fees as set forth herein, and be it further resolved that this resolution will take effect on January 1st, 2024.
I second that.
Rita, if you guys don't find my check before then, do I have to pay the extra $4?
No, just get it to me by December 31st.
Well, I don't know what happened to the other one.
We never received it, never got anything. And I'd also like to add, postage has gone up almost double since we've had these fees. So, and I send out a lot of letters. Reminders, delinquent notices.
Can't we do it by email?
I can't license my email.
Don't make her feel bad about it.
It would be difficult to get everybody's email. But I also was the lowest in Dutchess County. Now I'm about average.
Good. You're above average, always.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I have three budget modification resolutions. We're coming, obviously, to the end of the year, and we're trying to get all of our budget lines properly adjusted. So this is Resolution 12D. Whereas the town of Stanford's general fund has expenditures for the adopted 2023 general fund budget lines that will exceed the amount of fund available in those certain budget lines, and whereas the general fund have funds available in other lines and needs to transfer such funds to provide for expenditures, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Stanford Town Board hereby amends and transfers from and to budget lines listed below for fiscal year 2023. Street lights needs $1,500, garage capital expenses is where contractual expenses is where the line we're taking that from. The pond needs $12,235, which is a direct reflection of the exorbitant price that went up for chlorine. Yeah, it's like tripled or something. Plus we might, no, that was just the chlorine, I think, because the pump would have been a 20 and this is a 40. And we're taking those funds from the zoning commission consultant. Supervisor postage is up $184.33, so we're taking that out of supervisor salaries.
Couldn't we email that?
Building salary special project, $209 coming from the control of dogs, capital expense.
Contractual.
What is wrong with me? Contractual expenses, $209.
Say the 40 line.
Say the 40 line. The building 40 line, $2,580.90 coming from the zoning commission consulting. Justice 40 line for $1,123.19 coming from the zoning commission consultant. Justice security, $200 coming from the tax collector's 40 line, $200. The Haunted Fortress was needed $1,034.23, and that is coming from the zoning commission consultant, for a grand total of $19,066.65 coming and going.
Do you want separate motions on these or not?
No, this can all be together.
Right.
Well, the first two. The second one should be.
Okay.
This is the budget modification resolution 12E for the highway fund. Culvert pipes needed $1,319.20. We got that from tires line, the 45 line to the 44 line. Outside repairs, which is the 45 line, needed $30,400. So $20,000 are coming from oil and stone, the 42 line, and 44 is coming from stone, $10,400. Parts needed $6,500. We're taking that from fuel. sand needed 900, we're taking that from salt. So that amounts to a transfer online of $39,129.20.
Okay, you made the motion?
Yes.
I second it.
Second. I have to do a roll call vote. Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Margaret Fallon? Yes. Nathan LaVertu, absent. Cory Flanagan?
Yes.
And then the last financial resolution is 12F of 2023. This is an interfund transfer to transfer funds from Whitlock Estate account, New York class account ending in 07, and move the funds to the general fund ending in 018. Whereas the town of Stanford has funds specifically designated to cover expenses attributed to the Whitlock Estate, and whereas the New York class account ending in 07, Whitlock Estate Fund account, contains funds for this purpose, and whereas the town of Stanford will transfer funds from the class account ending in 07, Whitlock Estate, to the Millbrook General Fund account ending in 18. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to complete the following budget modifications and transfer funds from the Whitlock Estate account to the general fund, and that amount is $1,780. And it actually goes into the budget line for the Whitlock Preserve contractual.
I second that.
Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Margaret Fallon is here. Nathan LaVertu is absent. And Cory Flanagan.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, we're getting to the end of this. Everybody might remember that we have established a special district for the ambulance, taking it out of the budget for the fire district and creating its own special fund. We have appointed the commissioners who are on the fire commissioners have volunteered and been appointed to be the ambulance commissioners, ambulance fund commissioners. And so they have provided this contract, which is no different from the contract of last year with Northern Dutchess paramedics. And so this contract, which I will sign, basically contracts with the ambulance service for the year of 2024. Shall I read it?
Of the contract?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. You don't need to read the
So we can
contract.
just make a motion for me to approve the ambulance
Mhm.
contract. Okay.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. We need to set the date for the final meeting of the town board. There'll be another abstract, and Lord knows what else we'll be doing at that final meeting.
So it's just the final abstract, probably.
There'll probably, as always, be
Couple of
something.
little odds and ends, probably.
And then our reorganization meeting is going to be on January 2nd. Did you ask the judges?
I haven't seen them yet.
I think you might leave note for them.
I will.
Anyway, so I make a motion to set the end of the year meeting for Thursday, December 28th at 7 o'clock.
All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to approve the minutes of November 8th.
Is it the 9th?
9th.
I second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Oh, boy. I make a motion to approve the abstract number 12 for December, and these are wallopingly big numbers. We did a lot of paying this month. The general fund, $89,795.51. The Highway Fund, $159,315.43. Bengal Lights, $904.02. And the escrow account was $350.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, then. I make a motion to open the second privilege of the floor.
I second that.
Does anyone wish to speak? I make a motion to close the second privilege of the floor.
I second that.
I make a motion to go into executive session for personnel reasons.
I also second that. I'm on a hot streak. Give me
All
one
in
more.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you need me to stay?
No, I will take note of when I do not believe we'll take any action, so you can go.
All right.
I'm going to have Linda sign this.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
This in the record.
Right.
Okay, so it is,
Maybe two for me, just the way things go sometimes.
it is not, oh, are you ready? Okay, so it is 8:54, and I make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is 8:54, and I make a motion to.
Well, no decisions were made.
No decisions were made. I make a motion to return to regular session.
I second that.
And I make a motion to end this meeting.
Do you
And-
want to adjourn?
Adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.